It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Tuesday, October 3rd, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Provi in the media, the practical word study, and of course, commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Tuesday. Monday is officially over, and we're getting into the meat of the week. If you haven't yet, go ahead, leave a like and comment to build our community, and just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is God's Heart and My Heart. All right, so tournament event is officially over. I am just exhausted. You could kind of tell by my voice. I've kind of lost my voice, kind of hoarse right now at the moment, but all that screaming and shouting and just having a good time with all the members there. But for me, I just had, I think for everyone though, amazing and awesome time. The schedule was just perfect. From the soccer events to the barbecues to eating together with all the members, the Sunday service, just everything was really, really amazing. We finished the event on Sunday night. Went for Korean barbecue, which means that's the fourth day in a row I've had barbecue. I had, and we came out to Atlanta, and one of the members here has a house that we're staying at. My body is so exhausted and tired. You guys know that feeling after you have like a big event, whether you're the organizers probably are even more tired, but after a big event, all that energy used, meeting people, talking to people and stuff like that, and then after, exhausted. Like, even on Sunday night, we went to the Korean barbecue. We left the Korean barbecue at like 11 p.m. We got home at like 12:30, like 12:45 at night, close to 1 a.m. And then we all had to shower. We didn't get to bed until after 2 a.m. And then a lot of people had to leave at 6 a.m. for the airport, right? So it was really an amazing event. If you guys can hear all the background noise, I'm actually in the Georgia Aquarium, which I think is the largest aquarium in America. I think it is. The Georgia Aquarium, it's huge here. But I did want to meet all the members, go out, and, I needed some therapy. So you're like, what kind of therapy does Pastor Sky need? Well, I think one of the therapies I think that is the best therapy for me is kind of being with babies. So there's an elder here, has a brand new, newborn. Well, newborn, 9 months. Is that a newborn still? But 9 months, and this baby only likes girls, doesn't like guys, except me. So I can carry her around for like 40, 50 an hour, right? Just hanging out with her and taking her around the aquarium and stuff like that. But for me, that is my therapy. It really is. It is such a therapy for me that I can just sit there quietly with this baby. I don't have to talk to her. I don't have to do it. I just hold her. And for me, it's kind of like when you have those therapy dogs. You know what I mean? Like you have these really cute dogs, and it gives therapy to whoever's just petting these dogs and just giving the dogs love and such. For me, I need a therapy baby. I need a therapy baby. So I'm here at the, I just spent about the first 40, 50 minutes. No, actually it's been over an hour just holding the baby. And then I decided to do this podcast over here. I did put the picture of what it looks like, what my podcast setup looks like and where I'm actually doing it. And it's actually because the aquarium is really loud, but I'm in a quiet spot. So I'm really, God really provided me with the space to do this podcast. So yes, once again, guys, I do want to do this podcast continuously and making sure that I keep it's not even like my responsibility. I just feel like missing a podcast is like missing a time with, like, say, family or friends, like you really want to talk to, or even more, like like another realization that comes to mind is, since I've been doing podcasts for like almost 4 years now, like over 3.5 years, it's like that, you have a set prayer time. And when you have a set prayer time, it's that time you get to meet with meet with God, meet with someone you love, and you don't want to miss that time kind of thing. So I am just very, very, it's not a responsibility. It's not a duty for me. It's just something I really feel that it's something part of my DNA now. So some of you guys are wondering what happened at the tournament on the final day. Well, we had 2 semifinal games, and the first game, both games were just crazy. I'm dead serious. It was like unbelievable. The first game was the semifinals between the number 1 seed Georgia versus the number 4 seed, which is New York, and everyone's expectation was like, God is on Georgia's side. They did so much work. We can't believe that they're actually the number 1 seed. And we're like, man, God is with them, and God is doing so much for them too, right? So I was like, okay, this, it was pretty intense. I was just like, wow, this is great. And the second thing was, not the second thing. The crazy thing was, the game went to overtime, no one scored, and then went to penalty kicks. And it was crazy. Penalty kicks is crazy. It really is. And it was like 3 shooters on each side, and New York scored the first goal. And then from that point on, everyone missed. So New York won. And everyone's like going crazy for that game. It was such an intense game. Second game was number 2 seed Houston, which is my team, and then number 3, which is LA. And these teams were actually considered more of the favorite teams, right? That game, same thing, went to overtime and went to penalty kicks. It was crazy intense. And we won on penalty kicks. So Houston wins. So we move on to the finals. Now here's the finals. It's Houston versus New York. And when we saw this, it was such an incredible game, and for me it was a little bit anticlimactic because of how the goal went in. Like like you would think that it would have to be like a stunner, like this crazy goal, top left corner, or something where someone just shoots this amazing shot, amazing play, whatever it was. But the goal was really weird because it was more than half the field. It was like a throw-in. So you can't score on the throw-in. But what happened was someone kicked the ball from the throw-in, like from the side. So you can't score, right? However, when the ball came, the goalkeeper wasn't ready. Like they didn't even know what was happening, right? And they basically said, and there was a person that subbed in but never came on the field, but they just shot the ball from the side. So that's why the goalkeeper's like, no, I never even saw it coming until the very end. And when he turned his back, it hit him on the back and then went in the net. Now, you can't score directly, but if it hits our players and goes in, it completely changes the game. Like it becomes an actual goal. So it was this crazy, miraculous goal off the goalie's back on a kick that if it went straight in, it would never have counted, and that became the winning goal, right? And I'm going to say that this was definitely God's will. It had to be. This was definitely a God-led soccer tournament, right? Like, let me give you an example. Like, New York, originally, they're missing players. Like, even one of their best players, which is the head leader over there in New York, plane ticket canceled. So he couldn't even come, right? So now we're like, the team's even weaker than before. So no one was really expecting that like New York would be a favorite to win. But it was totally God-led, God-driven, and New York won the tournament despite losing one of their best players. And tell me, the guys, this is even crazier. I think they won, and every goal they scored was like either from penalty kicks or like that miraculous goal. I think like they didn't even win a single game in the round robin. They played 3 games. They won 0. They was it tied 2? No. I think they lost 1. They lost 2. Yeah, they lost 2. They lost 2 games and tied 1 game. I don't think they even scored. Like they didn't even score a goal. They had strong defense. They didn't score any goals. And all the goals that were scored, and the only goal that was scored was that miraculous goal that happened in the finals. So imagine this. Can you imagine if someone said that you could win a tournament without scoring a goal? Like that's how amazing it was, right? So, it's something where, when people will say something like, God led the event, but it's kind of really hard to see it. Like, is it really led by God, or is it because they have better skilled players, or whatever it is? But this game, it was, you couldn't deny it. You seriously couldn't. It was straight up God driven. God took the 4th place team and they went all the way to the top without basically scoring like a normal goal. And I was just like, wow, this is, and what's even crazier is when you listen to the testimonies and what the team did to set conditions and such, like they're evangelizing a lot through soccer. They're doing a lot of amazing things and setting conditions. So when you hear these things, it's like, man, that makes more sense. And I think this is one of the things that we have to realize about soccer in Providence. Soccer in Providence is not about who's the best players. Soccer in Providence is not about who has who's practiced the most, right? It's part of the equation is what is God's will. Part of the equation is how people prepared. Part of the equation is how much they set conditions, right? And I think this is why sports is just so exciting, right? This is one of the reasons I love, I love live sports. It's so like, there's underdogs, but anyone can win. But with Providence soccer, it's like, yes, in one single game, anyone can win. But what's more interesting is after someone wins, everyone starts thinking deeply about, how did that happen? What did God do here? The Holy Spirit must have led this. They set conditions. Like we're thinking more in terms of God. What did God do? Right? So for me, I was just like, wow, it was a perfect event. It really was. And, of course, as someone being competitive, I don't want to lose. And it hurt to lose. But much more than that, it was like, it was such a great event. So I was super happy about this too. I would say there's just so many highlights, like from the guys' barbecue that we had, just being with each other, chilling, talking, just having a great atmosphere. Of course, the soccer tournament was awesome too. Sunday service, outdoors in such a natural place, that was awesome too. So it was something that I looked at and I said, what a great event. Short event, 2 days, but it was really, really good. And right now I'm actually in, like I told you, I'm in the Georgia Aquarium. And even here, like if I show you some of the pictures even right now, like this is an aquarium. It's busy, like where all the, there's a lot of people here, kids and stuff, but you can kind of hear the background noise, but you can't hear a lot of like kids screaming and stuff. And in the section I'm in, God kind of provided me with a place where I can count one. There's only 3 people sitting around me, and that's it, right? So, it was a very, very interesting. I'm very thankful that God gave me this place here too. Let's get into a poll for this week. This week's poll, I want to, especially with this week's message, let's get into the question of which of these do you struggle with the most, right? So we're going to talk about things in the message. Number 1 is guarding your heart. Do you struggle with that the most? And I'm not talking about, of course we might struggle with all of these things, but which one would be the one you think you struggle with the most? Number 1 is guarding your heart. Number 2, not discussing with others. 3, getting rid of your own thoughts. 4, taking in God's thoughts. Or 5, breaking your rhythm in tribulation. Which one do you think is the one that you would struggle with the most? So I'll put that post up for today too. Interesting conversation I had with a listener, actually. A listener about how to not become self-centered as you grow older. And this kind of centered, they were talking about me, right? They're like saying, hey, Pastor Sky, you've grown older. And it seems that you're a little bit more level-headed and not as self-centered as others, right? And like, how do you get to that? It wasn't even how do you get to that point. It was kind of like I had to share with them, like, no. This is not something that where we have to really put effort in. And I was kind of, I'm very transparent about myself too. And I said, I kind of gave this person two things to think about. And I said, when you think about not being self-centered as you grow older, one of the things I think we should take into consideration is being self-centered does not mean you never think about yourself. It's more about not going over the line of thinking only about ourselves. Well, think about it, right? We have to work for ourselves. We have to make money. We have to eat, be healthy, rest well, exercise. All those other things is for ourselves. Even relationships is for ourselves. Meeting people, talking to them, it's for ourselves too. Me coming to the aquarium just to hold a baby, it's for me. You know what I mean? And I think a mistake people can make from this week's message is you start to think, oh, every thought about myself is being self-centered. And that's wrong. No. Self-centered thoughts is crossing a line. You have to think about yourself, right? So I think we need to discern the balance and the line that we need to find so that we're not going over the line of thinking only about ourselves. Okay? So, and then the second thing I would definitely tell people is when it comes to changing, and, as I grew, if you think about me, I'm older in Providence. I'm 45, and I'm not old. I'm just older. I just want to make sure that that's straight. But I think naturally we start to think more about ourselves, especially because a lot of things about ourselves break down, or we're not the same as we were before, right? Not with our health, we're not able to do the same things we did before. We're a little bit more tired in certain situations. Like for me, I'm probably more sore than I was then in my 20s and such, right? And, we just don't have the vitality like we did in our 20s or even our early 30s, right? Like I remember in the 20s, remember you guys would eat so much and then not sleep at all and just get up and go along with your day. And we start to complain a little bit more. There's a lot of different things like that when you get a lot older, right? But I think for me, what made me start to change or try to attempt to change is looking back at my life. The things that change me are the things that shock me. Like I didn't know, right? Like, let me give you one example. Like, imagine if later you realize that you hurt a ton of people or you hurt people, right? And then you realize, oh, I really did think from only my own position. Oh, I really was self-centered, or I really was stubborn. And I'm speaking totally from experience. Being a leader in Providence, and we go through 25 years of being a leader, and you get to see what your actions cause. And I would say what's even scarier is because you're a leader in Providence, sometimes people don't want to say things or don't want to say that they were hurt by your actions. And instead, they just tell other people. They tell others, and you kind of never hear about it until later, right? So it's kind of like this. It's like when you're in the forest, like when you're leading, you're inside the forest. It's dark and there's trees everywhere. You don't get to see clearly of what's going on. However, like for me, after head leading, after kind of stepping out of the forest, you can look and see the whole situation. And you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And when you start to talk to people, they become more honest with you when you're not the leader, which is quite interesting too, right? There's a huge difference of how you act and how you are as a leader and not as a leader too, and how people look at you also too. So I would have to say some things you just realize later. You get shocked that, like, wow, I really was like that. Or wow, I shouldn't have done it this way. I shouldn't have done it that way. And it's a very humbling experience. And I would say in the beginning, it's somewhat depressing because you think you're working hard, or you think you're doing well. And on top of that, you work so hard. So you ran so hard for this long, and you just really wanted to do what was best for this history. But in the end, you realize, like, man, it's so humbling because you put so much effort and you put your life into it, and you realize the mistakes that you made. Of course, I'm not saying everything was a mistake. It's just you see the mistakes you have, you gotta fix it. And sometimes it's even more humbling because you realize it at a later age. You're like, man, I should have got this. I should have fixed this earlier. I should have seen this earlier and stuff like that too. But yeah, sometimes it just takes a shock, or sometimes it just takes you to stop leading or step out of where you were before to see what you were like or what you did. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I was kind of consciously trying my best. We can only try, and we can try and keep, it's like this week's message, keep repeating it over and over and over again to raise your level more and more, right? So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts, like kind of the things that I was thinking about when this conversation came up with one of the listeners. Either way. So that's kind of the first segment for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed it here in the aquarium. I hope, were you guys listening? Did you guys hear the baby screaming in the background? Not screaming, but kind of speaking and talking. Yeah, it's not the baby that I'm with here. It's just there was a baby. So either way, so let's go into the first break of the day. so let's get into today's word study. And every single Tuesday we have the practical word study. So this week's message, there's a lot to think about and a lot of things that we can kind of put into action. And today I wanted to talk about one major thing that we can do, right? So in this week's message, it talked, especially in the first part, is about guarding your heart, right? And I wanted to kind of go into about 2 to 3 different things that we can do to help ourselves to guard our hearts. Okay, so the first one is very interesting because I thought to myself is, why would this one be something that would help us to guard our hearts? But I had to think about it for a bit, like, wow, it was about discussing with others. How does discussing with others help us to guard our hearts? Like, it doesn't really make sense, right? It's like, well, no, sometimes when I talk to people, my heart gets hurt, right? And it's like, is it really is that something that really guards my heart? And I thought about it, and one of the things that came to mind was, if I guard my heart, like if I discuss with other people, how does that guard my heart? However, one thing I think is very important when it comes to discussing with others is it allows you to understand the situation more fully, right? Like if you only think, and if you don't talk to anyone else, you only have your own thoughts. So if you only have your own thoughts, you're only thinking according to what you know, right? So imagine you only have what you know and things end up happening in the wrong way. It doesn't work out. People are upset. It kind of, it hurts you even more, right? When things go bad, you'll get so frustrated, you get angry and upset, you're sad because you can't figure out why things happen that way. Or you'll find like opposition, like imagine you make a decision and then while you're taking out the decision, you're finding out that people are not on board and people don't agree with you. And you're like, oh, you should have said in the beginning or whatever it is. And you kind of get more upset. Or even after people start complaining, you're like, I don't get it kind of thing, right? It's because you only see one side, your side, right? So if we discuss with people, right? And I'm not going to say discuss with all people and everyone that you can. I'm saying when you discuss with people, you need to obviously means discussing with the right people. So an example would be, if it's like something personal and you need to discuss with someone, you got to find people you trust, right? But what does that mean? You need to find people you trust who will tell you the truth more than people who are always just trying to be on your side, because it doesn't really help. You need to find people you can trust to tell you the truth, right? And if it's a group, right? If it's a group setting, you got to talk to the leaders, talk to the church members, the department level leaders, whatever it is, or talk to the people you work with, right? And this will protect you from making mistakes. Like if I give you a good example when it comes to something like relationships, imagine you hear something about someone else, like hear something about your friend, like, oh, did you hear this person said this about you, right? If you don't discuss with anyone else or even talk to the person that apparently said that about you, what's going to happen is you're going to go strictly off your own thoughts. You're going to have bad thoughts. You're going to think, oh, this person betrayed me. This person said this or this. But you don't know the full situation. You didn't even talk to other people. You didn't discuss with people that are important, people you should talk to. You didn't talk to the person who that person said something about you. You don't even know the full context, but you're getting upset and mad and angry only about the thing that you know, which is not everything, right? So when I listened to this, I was like, oh, that's so true. Discussing with others will help you to protect your heart because it gives you the reality of the situation, right? And you're going to be preparing yourself for the right thing, right? So that's one thing that I looked at and said, yeah, that makes, that discussing with others does help. The second thing I do think that came from the word of how to manage your heart is listening to the word, right? Because one of the big things that the message talked about is, well, the word is not made by people. It's made by God. Because when people say things to us, sometimes there's hidden agendas. Sometimes people have like this bias. Sometimes people already have a decision in mind, right? And these types of, if things that are made by people, what's going to happen is sometimes it tilts towards human agenda. But when it's God's word is God's word. And we should definitely think about everything in terms of God's word. So listening to the words helps us to guard our hearts, right? Like for us, I think one of the only problems we have with God's word is when people get involved, they start to manipulate the word into their own direction. But I do think one of the things that helps us and keeps us safe is that we all hear the same word. And almost all of it is transparent, almost all of it, right? Because there's private letters, stuff like that too. So we can definitely discern better too, because we all hear the same word. So it's not like we can say that, oh, we never knew anything about it, right? So listening to the word is helping us in this way. But the thing that the message did say after is after listening to the word, check your thoughts, check your heart after listening to the word, right? And this is where we can guard our hearts even better. So don't just listen, check yourselves according to the word. So when you listen to the word, and then through that word, we check our thoughts. So let me give you an example of this. So remember, let's say the message comes out with discussing with others before making a decision. After you hear that, you have to kind of search yourself, search your heart. See if you're doing things according to your own thoughts, right? Oh, did I do this the right way? Check and see how much you really discussed with other people. Check and see if you already had an agenda. Check and see if you listen to the word and we just try to justify our own thoughts or our own actions and just tilt the words towards ourselves, right? And that's what a lot of people do just to make themselves feel better, And that's why I was kind of like going like, when after this to the word, I'm like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of something I did in the past when I was leading. Oh, I should have checked more with this. Oh, this just happened recently here. Like, let me give an example of what actually happened during the event, right? So, and this is completely not one person's fault or the other. It was just a matter of discussion. It should have been real discussion. You know what I mean? So what does that mean? Like there came a situation during the retreat where we had an Airbnb. And then when you get there, you need to, everyone picks their rooms and who they go in with, right? And, one of the leaders on one side was saying stuff said something like, oh, let's center on the newcomers, right? And that was told to someone else, but not everyone knew about it. That was kind of like, finding getting their room assignments and stuff like that too. But the interesting thing was, it wasn't really discussed. It was just kind of told. And we didn't even know what that meant. So, and people have different thoughts. Like, I'll give you an example. Myself, this is just my personal opinion, is I think that newcomers shouldn't be treated too like a king or a prince or a princess. I don't think so. I think it's bad for them if it's too much, right? I think they should be treated just like everyone else. Maybe, just like regular, when you meet someone new for the first time, you are more nicer to them and stuff like that too. But I don't think it should revolve around newcomers. Like the decision should wait for them, right? Because in the end, they're new, but they're still human, and they should try to want to be part of the group, where they're not always like we're trying to please them. I don't think that's the reason why someone's going to come to Providence, right? I do think that they should be treated in a normal way, right? That if we're all suffering, we suffer together, right? And if it's someone who struggles a lot with it, regardless of newcomer or member, that person should be, we should take care of those people, right? But it shouldn't be like someone else is struggling and a newcomer is struggling and then we focus only on the newcomer. No, the member's got to be taken care of too, right? So if it wasn't discussed, then I'm thinking my thoughts, that person's thinking their thoughts, another person's thinking something else. And then all of a sudden people are like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. And then because of a lack of discussion, people are going to be like, what's going on? This doesn't make any sense kind of thing. But because full discussion wasn't made, that's why you kind of get stuck into that type of position. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I was looking at the message like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, we can't just sit there and think to ourselves, like, if there was no discussion, we can't expect other people to think they know what we think, right? It's impossible. And that's why we have to, really discuss even more, right? So especially when it comes to an event like this, so many things going on. There's soccer, there's Sunday service, there's rehearsals, there's like the food being ordered, there's like barbecues happening, so many things happening. If there's no discussion, we're going to have many problems. And I'm going to tell you this, one thing that was so God-led by this event, there were no major hiccups, like something completely crashed, nothing like that. And for me, in an event this big, I really thought, wow, God's hand was really a part of it. And one thing I'm super thankful for, I'm like, I think the only thing holding my body together is the Holy Spirit. So I'm like going, Holy Spirit, please keep my body together. And I usually get injured, but I didn't get injured in this event. So I was really, really thankful and grateful for that too. But either way. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things that I thought would be practical and good for us to think about with this week's message. And of course, the last part that I really came out from the Sunday message that I also liked is, always ask God, which has to do with communication, not only with the people around you, but communication with God. And I think that's something that we are at fault with, is sometimes we just don't ask God, right? We don't ask God. We don't ask God, and he doesn't, we're not always checking, are these your thoughts or my thoughts, kind of thing. So I think that's another big thing that we have to keep in mind, is keep repeating it. God, what is this what you want? I have a new decision coming. What should I do here? Right, so that's kind of what else I was thinking about in this situation too. All right, it's a little bit short, but I'm in the aquarium right now. I am broken body at the moment, but we're going to end this portion of the practical word study here. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Leave a comment if you have anything you want to add to that too. All right, so let's move into the second break of the day before we get into Provi in the media with 2 more articles that just came out.
Lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones, I was a lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one. We stay looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones, I was a lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones, I was a lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one. 10 years of struggle, 10 years of pain, but I'll finally get to see you no more. Just calling your name, and the ones who wonder who, just open up your eyes. He's waiting for you too. He's not a man in disguise. And the hardest cross to bear, but your heart's not what I'll wear. To think this effort and this love could overcome the dirty stairs, and it's all because of you. Yeah, it's all because of you. Said it's all because of you. Yeah, I need you. Looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones, I was a lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones, I was a lost one, I found the right one, I found the right one.
Okay, so let's get into the final segment for today's podcast. It's a little bit short today because I'm at the aquarium, and I don't have as much of my, not equipment, but I didn't have a lot of time to prepare as much as I do on the other episodes because I slept so much. My body's recovering. There's still guests here from other cities, and like we're at the aquarium with other cities, like people from Houston, people from LA are here, and then myself, and then, of course, some Georgians are here too. But and San Francisco. But I did want to go over 2 small articles, right? So it's going to be kind of a short episode today. But the first article is about another protest that happened in the Gwanghwamun area in Seoul, and that happened actually just on Sunday. So this is another one that happened in Seoul. It doesn't actually say how many people there were, but if there's someone out there who was there or knows the information, in the comment section, please write down if there's any numbers, like how many people actually went out for that protest. I would love to hear that, but it's good to hear that these protests are still going and ongoing. And the second article is actually an older article, because I talked about this where it came to the 10th trial for, KJS and Kyla and these people. And the actual, the article, I didn't read, I guess I missed some parts of that article, but this is the article I was telling you that said that KJS says in the trial that the only Messiah is Jesus, Sunseem, and she says she believes that Sunseem committed those crimes. So that's what she said, right? So there's a lot of things that didn't really add up and make sense, but there's something that she did say that makes it make a little bit more sense, right? So the 10th trial of the aiding and abetting, right, at the Daejeon District Courts, KJS said through the defendant's newspaper that at first she heard that Sunseem did this, right, and to other foreign female believers, right, and she said that I received reports of what actually happened, okay. And then she said, I do not think the words of the believers are lies. I believe them. Okay, so she believes all these people, even though she's never seen anything herself, right? And then she says, but as to the reasons for condoning the crime, this KJS said, I asked Sunseem and he said no. Okay? And then she said, I was confused because I believed and followed him as the Messiah for 20 years. And then she said, I did not participate in or aid the crime, right? And it was argued to the effect that there were no facts, right? So basically she's saying that there's no crime because there's no facts to it, but I just believe the people, right? And she's going off of, guess what? I asked him, he said no, and I believed him as a Messiah figure, and that's why you can't say I'm aiding and abetting because I didn't really know. There were no facts to it either, right? So this is kind of her reasoning of why she's not considered guilty. She believes them, but there are no facts. But it's kind of really awkward and weird because if you believe them, then you think that it actually happened. So why would you continue to let these people come to him, kind of thing, right? And the interesting part is when she talked about Maple and Amy, which is the Hong Kong and Australian alleged victims, she said these two lied so much that it's not good emotionally, but this is KJS speaking, but I think they must have suffered damage, right? Because I had that feeling, that they suffered, I wanted our organization to apologize, and that's why I was also ostracized from the mission. And that's what she's saying. This is why people ostracized her from her mission, is because she wanted to apologize, right, as an organization to these alleged victims. But none of us were like, no, why would you apologize when you don't even know it's true, where you don't even know this history, kind of thing, right? So when I looked at this, I was like, okay, so now it makes a little bit more sense, and still doesn't make sense at the same time. But she's arguing with the court that she believes these alleged victims. However, there are no facts that it actually happened, so it is impossible for her to be aiding and abetting. However, I guess from the court's point of view is, well, if you really believe them, why didn't you do anything about it? So you're aiding and abetting something, and just because there's no facts, you're not going to help them, kind of thing. So who knows? This could possibly go either way, right? It could go either way. So quite interesting. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but like I said from last week, the prosecution is asking for 15 years for Kyla. I think 10 years for 3 of them. Or is it 10 years for one of them, 5 years for 3 of them or something like that, and 3 years for Kyla kind of thing, right? So we're not even sure. This is all the information we have so far for Provi in the media. I hope it's something that helps you guys out in your prayers, but you kind of get a little bit more insight of what KJS is arguing for her side and why she shouldn't go to jail kind of thing, all right? So there it is, guys. That is Provi in the media. A little bit of a short podcast today. Very, very sorry. I will do better for tomorrow, but it is kind of quite hectic right now. And like I said, I'm in the aquarium doing this, but I'm enjoying it and having a good time. All right. So there it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Tuesday podcast. I hope you guys have an amazing and awesome day. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know.